Let me remind you how this guy escaped, because that in itself tells you how dangerous and desperate he is. Number one, he somehow had a shank in the bus, the prison bus. Number two, he somehow got out of his cuffs on the prison bus. Number three, he somehow used that shank to cut open a hole in the divider between him and the driver. And number four, he somehow got through that hole with a deputy in the back who had a shotgun, unnoticed, and then stabbed the driver in the chest and the hand. And from there, the ensuing fight allowed him to get that bus and crash it and run. Joining me now is Callahan Walsh, who, along with his dad, John Walsh, is co-host of Investigation Discovery's In Pursuit with John Walsh, streaming now on Discovery Plus. Callahan, you know, this guy, just the escape alone is unbelievably frightening, just how desperate, dangerous, and ruthless he is. But then you go back to what he did. You know, the reason he was serving 2 life terms, he kidnapped a guy, and when he didn't get the ransom he wanted, he stabbed him with a pickaxe and killed him. And then he shot at a sheriff's deputy, fully intending to kill him. This is about as dangerous as they come, because when they're desperate like this, anybody who gets in their way or anybody who can serve their purpose is expendable.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen what this guy's been capable of in the past. We've seen what he did just recently to escape. And we know he has no intentions of going back to prison. So anybody out there that gets in this guy's way, for sure, he will harm them to get away, to keep eluding law enforcement, to stay on the run. You know, I think it's a matter of time until he's caught. But this guy is a dangerous, dangerous individual until he is. And the public should be on the lookout.
So, look, you and your dad do this for a living, and you've probably seen manhunts in Texas before. At this time of the year, I think the high today was like 96. How long can you really stay out there? He didn't have much, right? He had a white prison jumper. He had that shank, which I assume he probably still has, and nothing else. So how long do you think he could feasibly stay out there and survive?
Well, you know, it's interesting because while the escape seems very premeditated, who knows if he had any idea where he was getting out at? And so did he have resources in the area? Did he know where he was going to make his escape and had anybody in that area waiting for him, providing him with those resources? Because if he didn't, it's going to be very difficult for him just to stay alive in that kind of heat. I mean, I know I'm in Florida right now and it's hot as heck here. And to be out there without any resources, without water, in this heat, it's very difficult for any individual, especially if he's on foot trying to make his escape. You know, I know they're focusing in on this 5-mile radius area, but an individual can walk 3 to 4 miles per hour. So just a couple of hours, he's outside that area already if he is making that escape. But again, it'd be very difficult in that type of heat. Maybe that's why they're focusing on the area, because they know he just can't get that far if he's really expending that much energy.
Well, that was the other question I had. They've narrowed it down to a 5-square-mile radius, but I mean, isn't it possible he commandeered a car and he's got someone hostage and he used that car, maybe killed that person, or maybe stole a car that someone hasn't noticed yet and got a lot farther away than this image?
It's very possible, and we see that all the time in these type of escapes. They're trying to put as much distance between them and where they made that escape as possible, and getting their hands on a vehicle is the #1 way to do that. And again, this guy is dangerous as all, and he will hurt and harm somebody to get into that vehicle. So it's all very likely, if he's not in that 5-mile radius, it's because he's carjacked or he's been able to steal a car. So the reason they're focusing on that 5-mile radius area is really interesting to me. Either they have some insider knowledge that they know this guy is right there within that 5 miles. But if that's the case, why haven't they caught him yet? Why is it still taking?
That's what I say. And P.S. they've got tracking dogs, horseback. They've got heat-seeking technology they're using. 300 different people from, I think it's the Rangers, the U.S. Marshals, the Sheriff's Office, the local police, from just about every division that does hunt, people. They're not lacking here in resources. And with a 5-mile radius, I would think you could have done one long line and walked it, in a line. So I guess my concern is who's in this 5-mile radius. What people might live in this 5-mile radius? From your knowledge of your business, do the police go to those people and provide them with a guard, provide them with security?
Well, unfortunately, there just aren't enough resources to do that, and I wish there was. Luckily, Texas, and I say luckily, can be taken this way or that way. But, you know, there it is a state that's pretty easy to get yourself a firearm. And so protection comes somewhat easily towards the public there. But, you know, the fact that this guy is in that area, anybody that lives in and around those neighborhoods should be on the highest alert, because this guy will do anything that he can to continue to stay out on the run. This guy's not going back to prison. And so, you know, the public there really has to stay on guard. And it'd be great if there was a law enforcement officer at every single one of those houses, but unfortunately, there's just not enough of them.
You know, one of the law enforcement officers told me they're going to wait him out because he's done it before. In that other instance where he killed his hostage with a pickaxe because he didn't get the ransom and shot at a sheriff's deputy, he was also on the run, and they waited him out then and finally got him. And they say that they can do the same thing now, given the conditions, given the heat, given, you know, what's in those woods. They think they can wait him out and catch him. In the meantime, I want to play a tape for you that was shot by a young man named Braxton, who literally caught the immediate aftermath of the crash and Lopez escaping. Take a look at this.
Yo, we saw the inmate.
Oh my God.
What the heck?
Oh. Does he have a gun?
Weapon?
Oh crap.
Oh,
Oh my God. I wonder if the guy's okay. He's in the woods.
wait, I want to be on the news.
Yes, Braxton is on the news right now, and everybody else who's using this clip of his. Pretty remarkable that he was able to capture that. I still can't believe I'm looking at it, but I'm not seeing a phalanx of officers running after him with dogs or guns. And here's the other thing people might not understand, because it's very political oftentimes. Legally, you can shoot a man like that in the back. And here's why. It's called a fleeing felon law. And that is that he has a shank, which is a deadly weapon, and he is fleeing into the public and poses a reasonable threat to others. I think we can all agree that that man is desperate. He has killed before, and that man now possesses the ability to kill someone else. And that's why you can shoot someone like that in the back legally. Maybe they didn't because of the politics that surrounds that, but I was just shocked to see that he was just able to literally run away in the view of that kid and in the view of those officers. Quick question, what is the costly mistake that a lot of these guys make, Callahan? I know you've seen them all, thousands of them. What do they do wrong that gets them caught?
I think they underestimate the power of the public. You know, the eyes and ears of the public are everywhere, and we harness the power of the public on our show, and you're doing that right now, profiling this guy as well. I think they think, well, maybe if law enforcement and that dies down, then people are going to forget about this, and I can kind of start making, coming up for air again. But, you know, if we stay vigilant, if we keep putting this guy's picture out there and keep covering this case, it's just a matter of time before somebody spots him. In this case, that little boy spot him. But and in the last case we saw with the whites that got away, it was a member of the public as well, giving us that great tip. Law enforcement can't be everywhere. The public is that force multiplier. It's the eyes and ears, the boots on the ground, everywhere law enforcement can't be. So I think this guy will slip up. He'll he'll pop his head up, and somebody will spot him, and he'll be captured.
And there's $50,000 in it for you if you're the one who can do it. Callahan, you and your dad do great work. Thank you for being on tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ashleigh. It was great to see you.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.